reliability, commitment, attitude. In this episode of Conversations, I speak to a motorcycle industry veteran who is the personification of those values. His leadership has earned his dealerships numerous Bar and Shield awards. His team's efforts have constantly earned their dealerships recognition. He is the operating partner at both Thunderbird and Santa Fe Harley-Davidson. He is the general manager and CEO of West Coast operations for Scott Fischer Enterprises. And he's a proud husband and father. My guest today, Sean Delaney. Sean, if we could, let's spend a few minutes on your origin story. How did you come to the motorcycle business?
I used to work at a nightclub in Fort Myers, and it was owned by a professional wrestler named Diamond Dallas Page. And Page had a pink Harley-Davidson, and he had a pink Harley-Davidson and a pink Cadillac. And he got the pink Harley-Davidson from Scott Fischer over at West Coast Power Sports or Motorsports.
Yeah.
And it used to have the ad, West Coast has the most. So those guys used to come in to the nightclub that I worked at, and they would be at my bar, and I got to see them and know them a little bit, not much, just a little bit. But I do remember Paige with his pink Harley-Davidson, and that was my introduction to Scott Fischer. And then many years later, I was on a boat coming back from Sarasota, Florida, and Scott was on the boat, and we started talking about, life in general and, what the future looked like for him and what he was up to. And, I said, wow, that sounds like something I might want to be a part of. And next thing you know, I interviewed and got the job as a general manager of West Coast Motorsports, which they had just purchased back from America's Power Sports at the time. So that was really my start. And I was the general manager of West Coast Motorsports.
Okay, so you went from bars to boats to bikes. What was the most surprising aspect of the motorcycle business for you when you first arrived?
That's a great question. I guess, not knowing anything about it was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. I didn't know anything, so when I used to hear people, say, we can't do this, I was like, well, why not? I don't know any different, and I remember I started and I had a technician that worked there, and he was a tough guy. He was a nice guy outside of work, but at work, he was a bit of a negative Nelly. And I remember I started and I said, man, we're going to sell 100 units. And we called them units because we sold boats, we sold motorcycles, we sold Sea-Doos, we sold everything, ATVs. So, I said, we're going to sell 100, right? And this guy goes, oh, no way you're ever going to sell 100 here. No one's ever sold 100. And I was like, wow, okay. I said, I'm going to sell 100. I said, I don't know what you want to do, but I want to sell 100. And, about 3 months later, we sold 100. And, he was like, oh, well, it must have been a fluke. And then we sold 100 for like the next 6 months until it slowed down a little bit for the heat of summer. And then, I don't know. It was just funny because, there's always people in any business, but sometimes in the motorcycle business that always tell you what you can't do or negativity towards what you can do. And I just thought that was funny because I just didn't know any better.
What did you find so compelling about the motorcycle business to make this your career stop?
Well, I really at first, I guess I never really thought of that long term. Again, I go back to Scott and, kind of his vision. And at that time we were rapidly growing. We had, I think then maybe 3 stores and we were rapidly growing and it was exciting. I was younger. I was excited. I was working really hard, really long hours. I loved the company. And really then I'll tell you the catalyst was we started a thing called organizational health. And I remember Scott had this meeting and we were in the Naples Beach Hotel and it was all the managers and his team. And we went down there and this company came in called the Table Group that is headed up by Patrick Lencioni, who's a best-selling author. And his team came in and it was big money. I mean, I remember going, wow, at that time, it was probably more than I made in a year. Yeah. And the guy came in and he met with us and he developed what's called organizational health. And he just asked us basic questions about our business and, what were we, what were we? What did we want to be? what were the things we looked for in people, what was most important to us, and what was our strategies to the future. And that was 17 years ago. And I always wanted something like that in my life. I always wanted a purpose and a set of values that aligned with me. And it kind of gave me some sort of purpose to the business, and we have 3 core values: reliability, commitment, and attitude. And I don't take those lightly, because there's days when I tell the staff, there's days when I don't want to get out of bed either. I'm tired, I'm wore out from the day before, but you know what? How would it be reliable to them if I don't get out of bed? If I don't get up and get out of bed, but I request that they be here, and they get into work, and then when they get here, they have a positive attitude, because sometimes I walk around and I don't always have a positive attitude either. Maybe something happened with my kids or my wife or my dog. I don't know. It could be anything, and I get to work and I got to turn on the positive attitude too. But that's our values. So if I'm going to live up to those values and ask people to live up to those values, then that's the way it's got to be. So when we did that, it really changed. I think it changed my life. Not only changed my business life, but my personal life as well, because I kind of never really put it into, writing what I believed in, and what my purpose was, so, and maybe my purpose, our core purpose actually is to make people's lives better. And I think, that is something that every day I wake up and I think, how do I make the staff's, the people that work for me's lives better? How do I make our customers' lives better? How do I truly do that? And at least it gives me something to go on, to start my day and to get through my day. So that's a big one, and our strategies are all about people. That's the one thing our strategy is about: customers, exceptional customer experience, staff, developing staff all the time. And, those things come up almost on a daily basis. So it was 17 years ago, and they're still the same now as they were then. We've changed them just a little bit, tweaked them a little bit, but basically it's the same 1-page document that was on my wall 17 years ago is still on my wall, now. So it's really something I think that was super important then, and it is now.
When you're bringing people on board, what do you look for in them?
Well, we look for those values that I talked about. Are they reliable? Are they committed? Do they have a good attitude? And I'll tell you a story, because it's the best way to do things sometimes. And so my son plays competitive baseball. Yeah. And, I would go to his games, and he played with one team, and the coach was so awesome. They weren't maybe the best team, but boy, they competed in every game, and then when they got real good, because it took them a while, then they were winning all the time, but they weren't like jerks about it, and they had so much fun. I would look in the dugout and I'd say, wow, look at these guys. They're having a blast, Yeah. And they'd run out on the field and they never had to be told to hustle, and they never had to be told, he would always say, do your job, do the job, do your job, and if a kid made a mistake, he'd tell him, hey, listen, don't make another mistake, or I'm going to pull you out of the game. And if the kid made another mistake, he pulled him out of the game. And, it kind of reminded me of our core values: reliability. If he said he was going to do something, he did it. And if a kid did something, he said, there's going to be a consequence. So, I was like, wow, and I didn't realize it at the time, Mark, because that's the absolute thing is, you see something, but you don't maybe kind of put it into context. Yeah. So COVID hit, and, we lost people. We had a whole, as everybody has. So, we had this opportunity in our service drive. I wanted to start a new service sales department, where I had a service manager that was actually a sales manager inside of service. So, and what that person really did was, every service customer that comes in, there's a pre-questionnaire that's filled out. What do they have in equity in their motorcycle? What do they have for cancellations? What's their current payment? What could their new payment be based on the lower rates of today? And Rob, my son's coach, I actually asked him if he would do it, and he was out of work because of COVID, and he was just a perfect timing to just say. And he was in the restaurant. He was a CFO of a restaurant company, And I said, can you come on board? And the guy came on board. But the thing was, Mark, he fit our culture.
Right.
He fit the reliability, commitment, and attitude. And I always thought to myself, how? So you mentioned, well, how do you look to hire? I guess I looked because he did it with the kids. He led the kids the same way we lead our team here at work. And, he had a winning team. He took a team of kids that maybe at first weren't all the best. But by the end, boy, they were winning every tournament they played in. And, and he developed people, he developed pitchers, and he developed catchers, and he did that. So what I look for is what I look for inside of our business is, people that will develop other people that'll spend time, mentoring other people. And ultimately, can I train them to do a service drive sales manager job? Absolutely. We can train them. And quite frankly, guy killed it. We have another guy that's doing it now because he moved up. Actually, Rob moved up when we acquired Santa Fe. He's now the assistant general manager and fixed ops director up there. And it's amazing how people, when they help other people, can move up, and we're selling 14 bikes, 15 bikes a month out of the service drive. Yeah. And it was a big boost to our business. And then he also worked on, because he was a sales service manager, he also worked on average ticket, and our average ticket went up about $200 a ticket. And, that was huge. It's huge in service when you do 250, 300 ROs a month. So the guy was a great fit, and the fit was really about people. I will tell you that I have probably one of the top performing guys in the country, been with us a very long time, Joaquin Martinez, and Joaquin, we call him Hollywood. Hollywood, every morning he's here for sales training. He leads the sales training. He gives more than he gets. He doesn't, makes a great living here, but he gives back every day, and he's training people. We train every day. Every day we train. Every single morning we have a 35 to 40 minute sales training every day. They go through numbers. They go through where were we at individually. What are we working on? Let's say the topic today is greeting customers quickly. We may do a role play with that, but he leads that, and there's other people that lead it as well. But, he's our top performer, been our top performer for years. Yeah. And, he gets excited about other people being successful too. And he knows that if everybody's successful, he's successful. He knows if everybody's making phone calls, that means more customers are coming in the door. He knows that if everybody's doing great with appointments and does great dealer tours, it's going to make the customer base love us more, which will come into the store, which ultimately helps him. And, it's a selfish end, but I don't think he thinks of it that way. I think it's just the way he is. He's a real giver of his knowledge and his time. And he's our top performer, and he's been our top performer. He's got, God, I think last time we checked, he's got 1,750, maybe at this point, 1,800 bikes sold in his career. And we actually gave him a big plaque this last year when he hit 1,700, and I gave him a nice bonus. I gave him $1,700 for that. And I just think, again, yes, there are those guys out there. There's girls out there. Same. I'm not saying guys or girls, because we have really top performing females as well, girls, ladies that sell a lot of bikes. But nobody gets away with violating the core values, and if they do, they got to go elsewhere, and that's okay. We've had that happen to us. So you can't live it if you let somebody else not get away with living it the same way. And it's not me. It's usually the staff that makes that happen.
Culture can be described as how results are achieved in an organization. One aspect of this conversation with Sean that I really enjoyed was the fact that he lives his organization's values. I believe this is just one of the reasons that the people who work with Sean speak so highly of him. Stay tuned, because we have much more to learn from Sean Delaney. Until then, go sell something, will ya?